Welcome back, everybody. Again, in case you're just tuning in, we've got Eric, that's me.
That's that guy.
And Chris. Chris, what was your last name?
That's that guy.
And Clayton Stecker.
Svenson.
And when we left off, we were talking something about cars, maybe the GMC Suburban, which was Clayton's first car.
We were. And it had to do with the police.
Oh, that's right. There was a story involving the police.
So, anyways, after we destroyed the whole field behind said school, and it had been rainy, so we could really dig in and get some nice burnouts and donuts and whatnot.
Yeah.
We decided to leave because we saw a light in front of the school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we pulled out of the school, and there was a nice little hill to get up into the back. When we pulled out, apparently I did not turn on my lights all the way. This is vivid memory. I remember this. I only turned on like the tail lights and the running lights, and we turned right and then turned left real quick, and we got down pretty far, and all of a sudden we had noticed the cop as we were pulling out of the parking lot on the side of the building. He was in front of the school, shining his light in, like, to the school because apparently there was a complaint. Mm-hmm. But he didn't know what he was looking for. Well, so, like, I kind of gunned it, but I still didn't have the lights fully on. So he followed behind really fast, like, we thought that we got away. Now I went to go, like, turn right, and all of a sudden he turned the corner, turned on the lights. And we were just like, oh, no. Well, he pulls us over, and he comes up, and he's like, you know, license, insurance, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he's looking at it, and he goes, that's a lot of mud on your truck. I was like, thanks. You know, like, smug me. You know, trying to play off, you know, anything, you know, like, you know.
To a mom, you're smooth. To a cop, you're smug.
Yeah. And he's like, that looks like a lot of fresh mud on your truck. I was like, maybe. And he's like, all right. He's like, were you back there doing donuts? I was like, no. He's like, I'm going to ask you again. And this is when I told the truth. He's like, were you back there doing donuts? I was like, yes. You know. And he's like, all right, well, we're going to have to go back there. I think this is when you ended up leaving because I had to get into his cop car and drive back there to look at what happened. Or maybe it wasn't until we pulled back around. But anyways, I had to get into his cop car, into the back seat, and we drove back there. And he tried to get up the hill in his car. And he was just like, and just kind of slid down. And I was like, no, you're going to have to go a bit faster than that. And like he turned around and gave me this look like, and this whole time he's like, I used to do stuff like this when I was a kid all the time. You know, doing donuts, that's just part of growing up, you know, this and that. He tried to be nice about it and everything. And he's like, depending on how bad it is, don't worry about it, you know, this and that. I was like, okay. Because I knew what we did back there. And he goes to try to get up again. And he finally just makes it to, like, the cusp of it. And he stops and he's like, all right, well, let's get out and look. And he turns on his flashlight and he's just like, oh, and I was like, yeah, it's a nice truck. And he's like, I can't let you go. He's like, and he was just dumbfounded by like how bad we tore it up. And like, you know, like if it was just like a pair of tracks or something, like he would have just been like, oh, you know what, don't do it again or find an actual field. But no, he was just like, he's like, there's nothing, I can't turn my back on this. Like, I understand that I gotta bring you in. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, my dad's gonna kill me. You know, he's like, I'm sorry. It's just now that I've seen it, there's nothing that I can do. And I think that we may have gone back.
Where would I have been at that time?
Still in the truck. Like, he left you guys in the truck. Whoever was there. I think it was Mike and you. Like,
Mike?
now that... Yeah, Jones.
Really?
I believe so. Because I had bought that truck off of his father.
It could be. Yeah, I didn't know anything about that part.
Yeah. Funny part. Anyways, my lawyer that defended me in that case lived directly across the street from that school. The way that I paid my lawyer was I had to tear down a brick wall that was like, you know how like people have like fences like around their patios and stuff? He had a brick wall that went around like the little patio part. Me and Mike had to go and bust that thing down and haul away the bricks.
I remember you telling me about that.
That's how I paid for my lawyer.
That's pretty good. You find a way.
Yeah, because I had no money.
So whatever happened to that GMC Suburban?
My dad ruined it. Sore subject.
It was such an old car, I figure it would have just kind of naturally gone its way.
Oh, no. Originally, my father slashed the tires and left me a note because I was the only kid driving to school at East Campus or whatever, because I got my driver's license like the day I turned 16. So my dad ended up slashing my tires and leaving a note that said something ridiculous like find a new place to park you or whatever. And I didn't know that it was my father until years later when I was hanging out with Mike again, because we had our falling out and then, you know, we talked again and blah blah back and forth. And yeah, so one time he goes, yeah, it was really screwed up the way that your dad slashed your tires. And I was like, what? And he was like, I mean, because he was working for my dad at that point, and my dad had told him that he slashed my tires because he thought that I didn't deserve a vehicle at that point. So then I had the Clayton Tire Fund in high school, where me and all of my friends would walk around, you know, with the coffee cans collecting change for new tires.
Being somewhat popular and charming, you could pull something like that off.
We did.
The Clayton Tire Fund.
I got big old tires. Well, eventually after that, he poured transmission fluid into my oil, or oil into my transmission fluid, one or the other. It was oil into my transmission fluid because my transmission went out, and I drove it in like first gear around town for probably about a month because it wouldn't change gears. Yeah, that was a fun one too.
And eventually
it just died. Like, it started, it still ran, but the transmission was completely out on it. But also found out that was also my father. My dad's a prick. But I did also end up buying a car like 3 months later for like $60 off of one of my crackhead friends. I was like, hey Dad, guess what? I bought a new car. He was like, excuse me? I was like, what? I bought a car. He's like, where'd you get money for a car? I was like, it was like $60. He's like, you're not allowed to drive that car. And I was like, okay, why not? He's like, park it in the garage. I was like, when am I allowed to drive my car? Until you can afford the insurance yourself and this and that. And I was like,
So you were still living with your father?
This was in between back and forth type thing. Like, when I moved back in and I didn't have a car, he had this is after I moved out and then moved back in after the car broke, because having the Suburban was like, you know, my start of like, I don't need you, I could just live in this thing. Well, once that was gone, it was just kind of like, oh crap. Sorry Dad, I'll behave.
And then eventually, yeah, the big thing that I remember about that, I mean, you must have moved into the Lake Street house at some point.
That was like right after I got the blue car. But
And is the Suburban at the Lake Street house?
part of it.
Part of it?
Yeah. They dug a big hole in the backyard and buried it.
What part is not in the backyard?
I parted a bunch of it out. Like, I sold, like, the axles to it and stuff, but...
Oh, okay.
Whatever was
Crafty.
left.
You can dig a hole down into a cavern that it would be the inside of the Suburban. Which
You
I
can make a fort.
which I still want to do to this day. They actually tore down the Lake Street house. Have you driven past there?
Yeah, I think so. At least I knew about that.
It's gone now.
Is there something else in its place?
Not that I'm aware of. It's just an
Kind
empty
of an-
lot. But I still kind of almost want to go over there with some shovels and try to dig a tunnel down to the Suburban. It can't be that deep.
I thought it was almost a little hill and like pieces of metal were.
No, not pieces of metal. There was a little hill because we tried to put all of the dirt back onto it.
So the top of it wasn't showing.
No.
It's pretty impressive.
We used a bobcat to bury it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't like we hand dug a, grave for it. It just plopped the bastard in there.
If there's a cavern in there, there must be a lot of dirt that didn't find a home. So maybe that's where the hill would be.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you just said that exact same thing and I didn't quite catch it.
It was close.
Now speaking of cars, and Chris, what car was it? I seem to remember going through a car wash in Chris's car, and then we like opened the sunroof when they did the blow dry part. It's like, and we opened the sunroof.
That could have been either of those two.
Yeah, this sounds like pretty much everything that, like, every kid does. Like, their first car that has a sunroof, they're just like,
I didn't
press the
do
button.
that.
You didn't? What? Really? In the Mazda, you never bothered to...
No, I only
See,
did that once.
I would
and
not
that was
have
with
done
someone
that if
else's
I had
car.
a sunroof. I wouldn't want to break the roof. I did it because the roof went in.
Yeah, the Mazda, it kind of went up like that, and it probably
Okay.
would have snapped a little bit.
Yeah.
So that could have been the Galant or the Accord?
Yeah.
Well, that was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
They were both moon roofs.
Have you done that with every car that you've had?
Pretty much.
Or do you have cars with sunroofs?
I do appreciate the Mazda, though, that you happen to just hand me. Speaking of you.
Oh, yeah. I had a
Giving me
Mazda
stuff.
MX-6, and it didn't work anymore for some reason. I don't even know what the specific reason was. I put thousands of dollars into it, and
Yeah. I fixed that with $30 worth of wire.
what was it?
It was the wiring harness from the alternator to the battery.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, and
I felt really bad after you gave me that, I was just like, huh. You were like, I put a new alternator in it, I bought 2 new batteries, this and that, and, you were like, just take it. Because I remember you were trying to sell it, and I was like, I'll give you $500 for it. You're like, I'm looking for, $2,500. This was, originally, and then, all of a sudden, I don't know, we started talking again, you were like, do you still want the Mazda? And I was like, I don't have money for it anymore. And you're like, no, do you want it? It's yours, so you could just have it. I was like, yes. But yeah, it was just the wiring harness from the alternator to that. It was touching your exhaust came out the front and then wrapped around the bottom half of the motor. Your wiring harness was touching in between there.
well, if you got it to work for a while.
Oh, I got it to work for a long while, and then I ended up selling it for $1,000 after I burnt out the clutch.
Well, that's pretty good for you.
Yeah, I felt really bad about that. For a while, I was just like, oh, man.
Did you use that car? I mean, it seems like if you actually drove... Well, that was 2002, right? So that was maybe when we weren't hanging out too much, because I don't remember...
I don't know, I drove the hell out of it.
I don't remember seeing you with the car. I remember you came back once, and it was a red car, and you had a red stereo unit in there, and I thought that's kind of neat.
The Sony Explode.
Yeah, I think so. And after that, I just didn't really see you anymore.
Oh, it's a damn shame. I rocked the hell out of that car.
It was had a pretty good engine in there.
It was a sweet car.
It was a fun car. Yep.
I don't think that you could have that car with the family and all. Speaking of which, what is that red car out there?
Pontiac Sunfire?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's we got that New Year's Eve.
I didn't even know that you guys had that car. I didn't notice it last time that I left, and
Her geo tracker gave up. It had many problems. I could name the 4 problems it had, but we junked it for $300, and
That's more than I got for my junk car.
yeah, it was $350 actually.
I got $150 for my '66 Ford Galaxy Custom 500.
Oh,
Anywho,
what was it? $150?
I just paid a guy. I didn't care. I was just trying to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Anywho,
We junked it at Aurora something or other. They have a few junkyards in Aurora. Got 320. I think it was 350. I mean, they didn't even look at it before they took it. They're like 96 Geo Tracker. I'll give you 350 for that.
I like how he had the list. 350.
Yeah.
All right, next on the list.
Well, now Chris has a 2004, 2001.
The current car?
You want to put your microphone back? Yeah, your current car is like an '01 Mitsubishi Eclipse Spider or something like that.
Yep.
And you got that, what is that, your third car?
Yep. Third car, bought it in '04.
Got that in '04. And last I heard, I remember, I think I was kind of involved with that when your father went to go get it, or when you went to, your father came, you had already sort of picked it out, and then you're like, yeah, you know, you were interested in the car, and then you sort of bring your dad over there, and he goes to the salesman, and he's like Mr. Cool guy, and he's all,
Brought the price down a bit.
what do you really want for this car? What's it really worth? Your dad goes in. Like, he's not going to fall for
Your
the sales.
father.
Yeah. He buys things pretty well.
I don't know. I mean, I guess, I don't know. Your dad always listened to, like, talk radio and stuff and was very on the educated side of, or politics side of everything. So I suppose he holds himself in that way. It's just, I don't imagine him walking up and being like, so what are we going to do about this? Because that's not working for me.
What's this car really worth? Yeah. I remember that. So it's a convertible.
Yep.
It's a Spider. But it's not a 6-cylinder. It's only a 4-cylinder.
It's a girl's car.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to make a choice. Did I want the extra 2 cylinders or did I want the drop top?
It's a girl's car.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
What? All Eclipses are girls' cars.
Maybe I know what you're talking about. Maybe I don't, but...
Well, especially when you drop 2 cylinders.
I couldn't afford it.
It's a pretty good car, though.
Oh, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. It just...
If you're into these cultural things where... Did you know that the girls... We just pay attention to the car. I don't pay attention to what kind of statement I'm making with the car.
Yeah, but he's not paying attention. Like, at that point, he's not paying attention to the car. He's paying attention to the fact that it's a convertible. Not even the car.
That's what the car is.
No. Convertible is a feature. Like...
Of a car.
Of a car, yes.
So...
What in the world do you keep crossing off over there? I want to see these notes before you... Like, bring back the pen. I want to be able to read them. Like, you're blocking these completely out. Like,
Bring back the
like
pen.
they're secret government files or something. Like, nope, never gonna bring that one up.
You...
that is X'd out of history now.
It's going to be on YouTube. But if you want a copy of these, I can give you these scratched out notes.
No, thank you. I almost just want to make a video just reading them out loud. All of the notes from said times.
So I have Eclipse. Where and when did you get it? It's a convertible, but only a 6-cylinder.
Wow, that sounded so different.
But that was a typo. It's a convertible, but only a 4-cylinder is what that should have said.
Oh.
See, now I have to read it out, and I mean, I looked so good until now. So, Chris, do you still... I remember you saying you planned to keep this car the rest of your life.
No, I
Is that
said
still
that
the
the car
case?
is going to outlive me.
Oh.
I'm not
Ooh.
exactly sure if there's a big difference there.
What?
So it's going to outlive you whether it's in your possession or not? How could you possibly keep track
Why
of
would
that?
it not be in my possession?
Is it going to be in the possession of you the rest of your life?
Why would it not be?
I don't know. Is it? I'm just asking.
I haven't learned how to read the future yet. I'll get back to you on that.
So are you going to ensure that it outlives you?
It's just... What do you mean?
You said it's going to outlive you.
Yeah.
Are you going to make sure that happens personally?
Why would I do that?
So you can keep your word?
You're saying that it needs maintenance?
No. I think you're full of beans. What's maintenance? I think you're full of beans. You said that.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you saying that if you were to cut him open, beans would fall out?
He's not making any sense.
I think that he's not making any sense.
He really isn't. Why would my word need to be maintained?
What a strange fellow.
E2.
Why would you say that he's full
You
of
too,
beans?
Clayton, really?
How about that local sports team?
Should we just drop this line of questioning? Because I thought it was kind of an interesting claim that you were gonna that the car was gonna outlast you. But if you're not gonna,
Well, it's not a claim, it's a fact.
if you're not gonna talk about it,
I don't think that
I
don't think that he's speaking in working condition here.
okay, that was my next
I mean,
question.
that's
In working condition,
somebody might use it for something. Like, it will work as a tent or like a shelter of some sort.
shelter. It's going to live as a block of metal way longer than I exist.
Exactly. I think that might be a valid point at this juncture. I think is the way that we want to word that.
So which car have you had the longest, Chris, of your 3 cars?
This one.
This has lived the longest so far.
In fact, this one's been around longer than both of the others combined.
How is it running?
Pretty well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still
Got
running.
Mexico was rather unkind to it, but...
Now, Mexico is going to be a major subject I'd like to get to
I
maybe next time.
Yeah, it's a possibility that, like, there might just be a Chris questionnaire episode.
You're going to have some of this.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna have
yeah.
some of this.
Like, we'll just sit down and just bombard him with questions for 2 hours. I'll make sure that I actually just bring tequila that time. This way, I'll stick to beer and just but
This way, Chris is
nice and
his
socially lubed.
His defensive questions aren't going to make any sense, and it's going to make him look stupid instead of me.
Yeah. You're talking to the guy with the half retard helmet on, made out of a tie.
Speaking of stupid, Chris.
Oh,
Who walked in?
I'm horrible. I'm a bad person.
that was pretty bad right there.
No, but seriously, there was something called Hoy. Now, what did what did that mean?
It's my mark.
On the eardrums?
On the mine.
It's your own tone. It's my personal tone.
How did that start?
I don't know.
I believe that it was right after Milk Chug.
Oh, I'm sure it was before Milk Chug. Hoy was the original.
I thought that... no, I'm pretty sure that it was Milk Chug first,
Yeah,
and then it
That
was...
sounds
Oh.
better, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let me think about this. I could definitely be wrong.
Because Milk Chug was something that he had, and
Yeah.
just decided to be loud about, and then the next progression from that was just said noise. You know?
If
I'm pretty sure that that's how that worked itself out, but I mean, I might be wrong too.
is there still something called Dean's Milk Chug?
Yes.
And there definitely was at the time.
There still
And basically,
is.
it's a funny sounding
In
title.
fact, I every so often we'll go to Walmart and go buy exactly that.
Please tell me that every single time that you see it, you...
It's like me smelling the Big Blue.
Yeah, you pronounce it loud and proud.
Nah, it's been a while.
Damn it.
Now, speaking of that big book of questions, how much money would it take for you to leave your mark right now?
Well, that's a good question.
Do you really want me to?
It's a lot of thought.
Absolutely.
But
I have 2 compressors, so I think we can handle it.
Your compressors aren't the issue.
if they're the only ones without noise blocking earphones on.
They're not the only 2.
Oh yeah, you also do have child.
Yeah, I do have child.
Do you really want me to?
I do.
I do, but I mean, it's just...
She might not be happy up there after hearing that.
I think you have to do it when we're not expecting it.
That usually helps.
All right. So there was basically you would say "hoy" very loudly, and it kind of relax all of your brain muscles and relax everything else, especially your brain muscles. And then you would say "hoy" very loudly, and everyone in the grocery store would look or wonder what that was.
Or wherever else I happen to be.
Now, what would prompt this noise?
Prompt?
Yeah.
What would egg on?
That's like asking you what would prompt you to start breathing.
Or sneezing. I suppose it'd be more like a sneeze. I don't know.
So it's just a body function.
Yeah, it was more like a sneeze opposed to anything else.
Well, originally the yeah, okay. That's pretty good. Well, we're going to expect that. Maybe we're not going to expect it before the show ends. So we'll see what happens. But it was something that I always personally enjoyed very much. And I don't see how anyone could. Yeah.
No. What I want you to do when you do this, though, is actually cut in, like, just film him doing this a different time. Of, like, him, like, hanging from the tree and just do the hoy thing. And just only show, like, I don't know, like, 4 seconds of it. And just... Every single time that we bring it up, like, hoy, and it's just, hoy! And just... like... just snap. Every single time that we bring that up. Please do that. You can edit this part out, by the way. Or put it in beforehand. 10 minutes later.
I can kind of see what you're getting at with that. We're coming up on another break in about a minute and a half. What else do we need to get to? Well, there were a few other things. I remember Alexian Field by the train station before the field was built. It was a big dirt pile, and all I remember from that, nice. I think it was the three of us.
Stop urinating over there.
Everything was the three of us. I remember going over there. We had our bottle of lighter fluid, and we just sprayed lighter fluid across the dirt, and then lit it, and it went boom. And it was dirt, so it went right back down again.
I wanted to see that. Where was I?
You were not there?
I don't think so.
Well, you know where I'm talking about, though.
Alexian Field? No.
Is that what it's called?
That's what you said.
Yeah,
Isn't that what it is now? The Flyer Stadium?
the Flyer Stadium.
Oh.
Is that
That's
not
what
what
he's
it's
talking about?
That's what I'm talking about.
We were over there a lot when they were building.
If they're building, I'm always somewhere.
Yeah.
Gotta have something to climb.
Yeah, so that's something we did.
That is something that we did.
And there's a lot more that we did that we're going to come up with after this on segment 5.
I remember I was really pissed off about you jumping your house with your remote control car.
Ooh, we're going to hear about that next.